Welcome to the Suspense Squad, where authors interview authors. Tonight we have the fabulous Sarah Hamaker. Make sure I say her last name correctly. Hamaker, not Haymaker, not Keymaker. It's Sarah Hamaker, right?
Yes, you
Okay,
nailed
good.
it.
Okay, good. And she is joining the Suspense Squad tonight. She's going to tell us about her latest release. Sarah, if you can hold that book up for us and tell us a little bit about it and maybe read the back cover copy.
Yes. Okay. It's book 3 in my Cold War Legacy series, but they're all standalone mysteries. So this is The Dark Reckoning. When Asana Thomas finds a smartphone among the cherry trees, her life is put in jeopardy. Asana discovers the phone belongs to Lillian Hillman, whose son, Cyrus Cy Hillman, works at the Heritage Museum with Asana. But Lillian is missing and someone doesn't want the pair to find her. Cy can't believe his mother would disappear without telling him, not after his father's suicide when he was a child. Then kidnappers claiming to have Lillian contact him, asking to exchange her life with names. Cy and Asana must delve in deep into his parents' past to find the list and save his mother's life. But someone doesn't want them to succeed and will do anything to stop their search. Will Cy and Asana uncover the truth about the list before their lives are snuffed out? So one thing I will mention, the series is the Cold War Legacy series. So all 3 books have ties to something that happened in 1980s East Berlin.
Oh,
So the Cy's parents were stationed there for a time with the State Department. So that's kind of, there's something that happened then that's impacting their lives today. So
I love that. I love the secret.
Yeah.
It's always so good.
I love secrets.
Trying to figure out what that secret is and what happens. So that's awesome.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've got some questions for you tonight that we're going to have you we are going to ask you and let you answer. So I'm going to start with Miss Loretta Eidson. So get her name right too, because everybody calls her Eidson or Edson, but it's Eidson, right, Loretta?
Answer to anything, yes.
We're gonna do names right tonight. So, all right, Miss Loretta, go ahead and ask your question.
All right, it's good to see you again, Sarah. Okay, my question for you tonight is, what does a day look like in your world of writing, coaching, social media, and family?
Not a big thing to answer.
Yeah, that'll take like 2 seconds. Well, it depends. Can I say it depends on the time of year? Like my summer schedule is a lot less writing intensive, unfortunately, than my school year schedule, as I'm sure some of you may experience as well. We're foster parents and we have a current placement who is a special needs 6-year-old. So, which means in the summer I take him to camp, which is time in the car that I usually don't spend. The school year, we walk outside the door, we put him on the bus. It's great. Loves to ride the bus. So yeah, so I try to do writing in the morning. I was leaving it for like the end of the day. I was like, oh, I'll get to, no. You're all laughing, but you know what I mean. You're like,
Yeah,
oh, I don't have time for
absolutely.
that. No. I realized I needed to do it before I opened my email, check anything. Let me get some words down. And I'm a pretty fast writer. I mean, I can easily do, 1,000 words if I have an hour, if I'm really in the zone. So I got a lot more writing done. And that's kind of my goal. That's how I do the writing. Social media, Wednesday is my social media day. So I spend 30 minutes to an hour scheduling for the week for social media. If I can't schedule it, I don't post it.
Yeah, I get that.
I just, unless occasionally, but something late breaking, I will. But most of the time I just schedule those because I don't want to think about it. I don't want to take away from my writing. I don't want to be on social media a lot. I'll check Facebook while I'm brewing my tea. I'm a teaaholic. Or something like that when I have to wait for it to steep. I'm like, oh, I have 5 minutes. I'll check and respond and do things like that. But I don't like to do a lot of social media. Writing coaching, that takes up a smaller portion of my time. I like it for be a little more, but again, that's just marketing. And
Yeah,
there's only so many hours in the day. And then my family, I am married. I have a husband. I have 3 cats. I have like Foster, yes, love the cats.
I do.
The foster kid, and then I have 4 bio children, 2 boys who are going to be a sophomore and junior in high school, and then I think I have 2 juniors in college. My one daughter should be a sophomore, but she's already almost finished her associate's degree. So
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
all
wow.
those AP credits, I don't know what these kids
Yes,
say.
yes.
And my
Wow.
boys are total slackers.
That's a boy. It's just a
Girls
boy.
are like taking all these AP, and my one son, he's like, yeah, I think I'll do Latin 4, and that's like a dual enrollment. I'm like, you're taking that dual enrollment because I'm going to write a check for like $2 for the tuition. And this is the cheapest 3 credits I'm ever going to do. So you're going to take it. He's like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh my goodness.
That's good. That's so great. So what
Very
time do you
good.
get up in the morning to get all that done?
I get up, I don't know, usually by 7.
Yeah,
know.
okay. I was thinking you were gonna say like 4.
Yeah.
I might be awake at
Right.
4, but I'm hoping to go back to sleep.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
no, I don't. Yeah, I'd always. So yeah, my goal is I try to sit down at the computer after we get the foster kid off on the bus. So
Nice.
usually around 8:30ish. So I really can't do much until he's out of the house.
Right.
Yeah, that's I think that's pretty typical for writers. I have to be by myself. I can't have people
Yeah.
interrupting me when I'm writing my stories. It's just too hard. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, Miss Darlene, let's go with you next on your
Hi,
question for Sarah.
Sarah. Congratulations on your upcoming books. Very exciting. So we writers always like to learn about other writers and how they got started writing. So tell us how you started.
Well, like many of you, I wrote when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I remember my best friend at the time, and I wrote this little, mom typed it, but yeah, old school back then.
Right.
This little book that we then illustrated and had like several copies of it to, hang on to and stuff. And I mean, very introverted, very quiet as a kid. And that's all I wanted to do was stories, read and write. But it wasn't until I actually had kids of my own that I was like, I got to stop starting books and not finishing them.
Mhm.
Because the shiny new thing is always better than the icky middle where we're at.
We're all
So true.
in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? We get
Yes.
about halfway through. We know what the ending is, but we're like, this is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Back where everything seems fun and fresh. Let me go
Yeah.
back there. That's so I did National Novel Writing Month, which is where you sign up. It's a free little thing where you sign up in November and you say, I'm going to write a 50,000 word novel beginning to end in the month of November. And of course, us Americans all know what happens in November, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas stuff is right on the heels. So it was a challenge. And the first year I was just a maniac. I did it. And I was like, I actually wrote like the end, and it was just very invigorating. So that's kind of what really got me on the path to actually writing books as opposed to just writing and fooling around. So
That's great.
That's awesome. Did you keep those books that you wrote when you were little?
I have, yes, I have,
Oh.
or the half books. Yeah, I have. There's a binder. My mom kept everything.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I
good.
wish I'd known that. I would have told you to bring it so we could see it.
Oh yeah, no, you don't. So when my
You should put
girls,
those on. You should put this on your website.
I should probably do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my girls, my 2 oldest are girls and my 2 youngest are boys. And when they were in upper elementary school, they found this binder on our shelf and was like learning all our stuff. And they were like, why didn't you finish this one? Why didn't you finish that one? I'm like,
Aw.
sorry.
I love that. That is so
Yeah.
great.
That was pretty funny. They like some of my teen writing things. I'm like, oh,
Right.
gosh.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
Pick them back up. Give you some ideas.
Yeah.
and-
I did finish a couple of short stories that I entered in some contests when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. But other than that, I never finished anything.
Yeah. All right, Miss Patty, what's your question for Miss Sarah?
Well, I know that you also, besides writing, you also have a podcast. And so I was curious as what sparked the idea to start the podcast?
That's a great question. I had a parenting podcast. I am a certified parenting coach. I don't do a lot of that now because I wanted to focus more on my writing. So I had a parenting podcast because that seemed like a good way to connect with experts and where I would interview them. I'm a journalist by training. I was a magazine editor for many years. And so interviewing and talking to people comes pretty easy for me, even though I'm an introvert. After this, I'm gonna go in my little cave and get my cup of tea and a couple of cats and be all quiet. So I really love that. And I was looking for a way to to really get that SEO and stuff on my website up more and not have to create a bunch of written content, because I don't know about the rest of you, but there's only so many words I have in me a day. And writing new content for my website wasn't really high on the priority list. So I looked around and there was no Christian romantic suspense podcast. And I thought, I could do that. So I did. And that has been a lot of fun. I added a new segment. I used to just do like one-on-one interviews with authors, and it would be a longer formats. And then I hired a woman on Fiverr to do read the back cover copy and then read like a short excerpt, like the first scene of the book, to give it that little audio book kind of feel, which has been so much fun. And I think gives my podcast a little something. But then I want to have people come back on my show, and it was feeling, it was feeling a little stale to have them come back, and because we tended to talk about the same things just because that was our connection or whatever. So I little quick, I would interview a bunch of them to talk about their book that was coming out that month, specifically about the book. So I came up with a list of questions. They picked the questions. We had a lot of fun. So that is a lot of fun, and I think has gotten me some new listeners on that.
That's great.
Mhm.
Podcasts seem to really be taking off. I was telling the ladies before you joined, I said I was driving today, and I was listening to two, actually not two, it was just one podcast at a time, but I ended up listening to like two in the drive, true crime podcast. And they're just fascinating to me. I think a lot of people traveling and driving, they pop those earbuds in, they listen to podcasts.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts, true crime, political, things like that. It's a really big medium.
They're interesting. They're so interesting. I love the true crime stuff. I'm like
I know the true crime are fantastic. And I mean, the whole medium, it's easy. I mean, I don't have like an engineering degree. I'm not like a super, podcast person. I don't have a big studio and stuff. I mean, you can do it, and it really depends on how you want to present it. I wanted a very casual, like you're just overhearing us at a bookstore or a coffee shop talking about books kind of feel. So I don't mind a little background, that doesn't bother me. And I just feel like it just makes it formal. And that's kind of what I was going for. Some podcasts are like, you have to be super quiet, and they really on the sound quality, and that's great, but that was not what I wanted to do. So I don't spend a lot of time on that. And maybe that people are like, oh,
yeah, you'd spend a lot of time editing if you had to do that. You spend more time editing than actually interviewing, and that gets that time consuming,
Yes. And so I do put it together. I taught myself how to do that. YouTube, thank goodness. There were like great tutorials I used Audacity, little program that you can do that. And it's great.
Yeah.
I did hire someone to do the intro and outro. I actually have a friend who's a musician, so he gave me some music that I could use for it. So I have like original music, which is really cool. So there's a few little things like that I did to make it more professional. So, but it's just a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
That's great.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Ginger, what's your question for Sarah?
Okay, well, congratulations on your new book and welcome back. But we already talked about that you do a lot of different things. What are some of your other writing projects that you're working on in addition to this book that's coming out?
We have, I did I'm part of a Christmas novella collection, Christmas romantic suspense, Christmas romantic suspense. That's a mouthful. Anyway, a bunch of Christian authors who write romantic suspense wrote Christmas novellas. So that is coming out. I'm really excited. I did a cold case for that, for my Christmas cold case. Very exciting title there. Tells you what you need to know. So that's coming out in October. And then I'm working on a 911 dispatcher series that I'm hoping to pitch to a trade length publisher. So we'll see. I have to write the whole thing for that. So I'm almost done with that. So
That's another fascinating area of, crime and suspense is the 911 calls. And have you ever watched some of those videos of them taking phone calls and stuff?
Yes.
They got a lot happening in that little chair, big chair that they're sitting
A lot
in,
of pressure.
all them screens up and
Exactly.
trying to
and
keep everybody
actually,
calm and get the information out. It's amazing what they do.
It is. And I have a friend who worked that job. So I was like I'm asking her all these questions, so she's my go-to for getting that part really accurate. And, just interesting that they now ask you, where's your emergency instead of emergency, which I thought was really interesting because with cell phones and stuff, they can't always pinpoint your exact like that.
Right.
Where's your emergency? That's their question first. I was like, I never knew that that's what they asked first. At least in our area.
Has she told you any like crazy calls she's gotten? Or can she not share those? Is that like confidential or does she?
There's a little confidentiality. She shared a few that were like really wild and, just that she said, it's just that you never know what's going to happen. She goes, and after midnight when there's a full moon, it's like insane.
Yes.
I mean, she's like, do you think it's not going to be true? That cliche, the full moon, everyone goes into labor if you're near your due date, or, she said it was just be like crazy. And then there's the repeat callers, and she's, that you get to know because they call all the time. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
yeah, the full moon thing is real. I used to work in my former pre-writing life as a x-ray tech. I went to school for radiology and I worked the evening shift as a student. Like we had student jobs and we hated full moon nights because we were always so busy, and we also hated rainy days because we had a lot of car wrecks. But full moons, we got some of the weirdest stuff in on full moons. It was these weird injuries and stuff. It was crazy what we would see. So I'm sure she's getting calls for that.
Yeah, she did. She got like, she said it was just like, I don't know, just like, I can't even remember all, but I was just going, mouthing, listening to these crazy things. So,
well, hold your book cover up one more time so we can get a nice good look at it before we wrap things up. The Dark Reckoning by Sarah Hamaker.
Yeah.
If you
there's
want
a car
her book,
explosion, there's a danger. She's like, yeah.
Nice. It's a great cover. I love it. Yeah.
Cover.
Thank you.
Very nice. And so make sure you get to Amazon.com. I'm sure it's going to be in bookstores. Is it going to be in bookstores?
Well, it's available. It might be on Walmart or Target.
Where books are sold.
It's available very wide, so
Yeah,
you can find it.
Great. So make sure you look for that. And Sarah, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We appreciate it so much. We love having you. You're such a fantastic friend and writer and just all around great person. So we're glad you got to join us tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk about writing with you guys.
Of course.